Gear up, scooter fam. Today, I'm doing a 200-mile review of the Nami Klima. Alright, hey guys, before I get into the video, I just want to remind you guys that you can now support the channel by joining Patreon, picking up some merch, or buying me a coffee. Thanks for your support. Alright, so I'm going to do a 200-mile review on the Nami Klima today, like I said. Before I get into that, I got a few things just to go over, like usual. And another is that sort of wanted to touch on Voro Motors releasing several scooters this year. I'm told multiple scooters. A few was the wording that I was told, and so that's pretty interesting. So I talked before about the new Project Daytona scooter. I'm not sure it's going to be called Daytona, but the name on the video is Project Daytona. And so just watching some old footage here of the Klima, kind of as I'm talking about my review, as a way to keep it interesting while I'm going over the information. So I wish I could get out more these days, but the weather doesn't necessarily permit when I have the time, or vice versa. So yeah, it's interesting, and considering that, you know, I talked about the price of the new Daytona Project Daytona scooter that they're releasing, was because simply they don't have a scooter in like the $3,000 to $4,000 range, and so if they were to release a different scooter in a $3,000 to $4,000 range, you know, that could change things up. I think they need a $3,000 to $4,000 scooter, such as, you know, to compete with that segment of the market, because it's a big segment. I think maybe the largest segment is that $2,000 to $3,000 segment. I mean, there's some cheaper scooters, I'm sure, but for the level of scooters that they sell, you know, this would probably be maybe the biggest part of the market that they can capture. So that's speculation, but just, you know, based on what I've seen in my experience and see people kind of shopping around, you know, most people are, that I've ran across are looking to spend, adults are looking to spend about $2,000 to $3,000 on a scooter in general. There are some that don't want to spend that much, of course, and there are some that are willing to spend, you know, up to $4,000 easy on one. I'm a little hesitant to go quite that high, but it's not impossible if I found the right situation. But I'm pretty picky, and I like to get a benefit for a value for my money. So, in any case, I think it's very interesting that they're releasing several scooters. I can only speculate as to what they're going to be, aside from the Project Daytona, which we have some information on. I haven't heard anything on the other scooters yet, but I'm looking out for them. I ask them to keep me posted. Not sure if they will, but if they do, I'll certainly let you know. So that's very interesting. I like what Voro Motors is doing right now in general. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. I think it's very interesting, and I'm pretty excited myself. So just wanted to update you guys on that. There are some rumors that I heard about Fluid Freeride and Cabo maybe filing for bankruptcy. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going out of business. You know, there's different levels of bankruptcy. So I don't know the details, and I don't even know if it's just a rumor or not. But I've heard a couple of rumors from fairly reputable sources that there may be something like that. So we'll see how it goes. At this point, like I said, those are just rumors, and a bit of research and so forth that's kind of popped up some things, but nothing solid has been, you know, to the point of like they're about to go out of business or anything that I'm aware of. But I heard some rumors about both of them having some filing for bankruptcy recently. And like I said, there's different levels of bankruptcy that you can go through. I'm not a bankruptcy law expert, but I do know that bankruptcy doesn't necessarily mean you're going out of business. It just means you might have to liquidate some things, or go through some processes and so forth to keep your business going. It's usually not a good sign for sure. It's not a great sign of your business progressing. Because I had just about 100 miles on the scooter during this ride. So it was about 100 miles ago. And so I'm like just over 192 or something like that right now. So I decided to go ahead and do a 200 mile update. So I'm closing in on 200 miles. In any case, like I said, those are rumors, but it could have an impact on things in the future. So it's just something to keep an eye out for. And I will let you know if I find out anything more. And please let me know in the comments if you hear anything as well. I'll try to keep everybody updated. Supposedly there may be a new version of the InMotion RS coming out in 2025, which is very interesting. So that's I'll be keeping an eye on that. I happen to think that's a wonderful scooter with a few flaws that probably need to be addressed. If they address those flaws, that could be a seriously nice scooter long term. Last time I mentioned there was a Mars, a G-Space rather, GS12 scooter that I was trying to find out some more information on. And what I'm told is that it's still in development and hasn't been finalized yet. So that's from G-Space / T-Wing. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the Klima review. And so, as some of you guys may know or may not know, depending on if you've seen some of my videos, I had some brake issues early on, meaning right out of the box, as early on as it can get. And I took the scooter out, put everything together, turned the scooter on, and the brake light stayed on. And I tried adjusting the brakes and doing everything I could, but there was no adjustment that would make a difference. And so I reached out to Fluid. I reached out to Michael Shaw and Nami, and I reached out to several different people at Fluid, different avenues at Fluid. Getting some one day at a time turnaround on service response. And so 2 weeks later, I ended up getting a new set of brakes, brake levers, and so forth, because there was a problem was in the brake lever not making a good contact with the brake sensor. Also, along with that was the left and rear brake was leaking fluid, and so regardless of me having dual hydraulic brakes, because I did come up with a temporary fix to solve the problem with the brake levers, but I couldn't. I didn't want to really depend on that long term, but I wanted to at least ride the scooter around while I was waiting on my new brakes. But the left rear brake didn't have any pressure because it was leaking fluid. So I got the new brakes 2 weeks later and was able to get them installed. But it took me about 2 weeks before I could really go ride my scooter normally, which was a little bit frustrating, considering this happened right out of the box, like I said. And so, but since then, my brakes have been pretty good. I haven't had any problems with the brakes. I've tried to change them out several times, just to see if I could improve them. Not that they're bad. I just wanted to kind of see what the difference was. It was a fairly inexpensive upgrade to the 4-piston from the 2-piston. I got them from Fluid, and they were 50% off. So only paid $100-something for a set of 2 4-piston calipers, Logan 4-piston calipers. I changed them out. I kept the rotor at 140 millimeter rotor with the 4-piston calipers, but I didn't really like how it felt. I didn't like the way that the brakes felt. I didn't feel like I got a good enough grip. And so, although they had a nice feel in general, I I was having to squeeze too hard to get the same pressure that I was on the two piston brake. So I got a 140 millimeter, 160 millimeter rotor, and reinstalled the four piston brakes to see how that would do, and uh, and then that was better. It was better, but I wouldn't consider it better than the two piston. And so, me after just getting used to the two piston brakes so much, and then going to the four piston, upgrading to the 160 millimeter rotor, which was fine. I had no problem with that. I didn't have to, I could dial the settings and the brake settings to where I felt a decent. I didn't have to squeeze too hard to get the scooter to stop. Um, but once again, I just didn't have problems with the two piston, and I didn't see a big improvement. So I went back to the original 140 millimeter rotors and the two piston brakes that came with it at the end. And that's just my personal experience. And I tried several different things just to see how I kind of liked it, and I kind of liked the 140 millimeter rotors with the two piston calipers. For range has been a real pleasant surprise, to be honest. I wasn't expecting to get 40 to 50 miles of range, but when the weather's nice, I get about 40 miles of range, 50 miles of range. And when the weather is a little more chilly, I'm getting closer to 40 miles of range, around 55 degrees or so. I don't get out when it's too cold, but when it's a little on the colder side, I drop about 10 miles of range. So on a given charge, anywhere between 40 and 50 miles, the way I ride and just my natural riding style, that's what I get. And then I would say that the ride feel is probably as expected. For me, I mean, I expected it to be great, and it's great. It always has been great. I will say one thing. It's like the more I ride the scooter, because of the comfortability, it just gets easier and easier to ride. It just feels more and more natural to ride, which is a pleasant surprise. And it just I mean, I never had a scooter myself before the Hover One Journey Max, and riding, going from not riding a scooter at all to riding that scooter, it's a very similar feeling, but you can only go so far. The scooter's still very rough and very jarring, and you just kind of, it's I still enjoyed riding the scooter very much, but this one is just more just has a nice feel to the scooter. You don't you're not so concerned with little things that pop up, and so it's just less nerve wracking. And it just makes for a more enjoyable ride, and it gets better and better the more comfortable I get on the scooter. So that's a positive thing, I think. That I've just noticed kind of the more and more that I ride it more recently. Some upgrades that I've done is I've added these little brake lever rubber grips to the brake levers, which I like. It just gives them a little bit softer feel, even though I use the gloves. It's not hard metal, so it just feels a little nicer and gives me a little bit more nicer grip. I only use one finger on each brake, so I like being able to have that kind of grip just for an easier pull. And so like I said, I like them dialed in where I can only use one finger to come to a complete stop if need be. And I was having trouble accomplishing that with the four piston on the 140 millimeter rotors. I couldn't really stop the scooter like dead on. And so I was still able to come to a stop, but just not, I couldn't jam it, And so I can do that on the and I did accomplish that going up to the 160 millimeter, but like I said, I just feel like it wasn't a necessary upgrade. It's something I wanted to try, and it was fine. But I went back to the 140. So, but I did upgrade the brake lever with the little grip on them, the rubber grip. I did get handlebar extenders. These the small ones, not one large one, but the two small ones. Just to rearrange some of the components and stuff from the dashboard on the handlebars. And so, for example, being able to put the mode control on the left along with the turn signal control is a bonus. Being able to use that with one hand is great because you have the accelerator on the other side. And that was probably one of the bigger reasons. And I can also, that's also where I attach the rearview mirrors when I have them on, which was another update that I put on there, which is the rearview mirrors. I don't have them on right now. I took them off last time I was working on the Klima, doing some brakes or something like that, and maybe changing the rotors out again. But in any case, this guy. Any case, yeah, I got the I like the mirrors as well. As you can see in this video, I have them on, and it helps mostly when I'm out in traffic. Once again, when I get on the roads and I want to check see if there's a car coming up behind me, or I want to get over to the left to make a turn. I can check the lane. I still do a shoulder glance, but I don't have to turn as far back around if I have my mirrors. I can just check to see if there's anyone pretty far back, and then I do a shoulder check just to make sure that I'm not missing something that's not in the mirror. It's like you would do in a car. And so the last thing that I got is a carry bag. I got a carry bag, as you guys probably could see on the front there, attached to the handlebars. There you go. You can see a little bit, and I use that thing a lot. I use it quite a bit. First of all, I just use it for my my goggles and my gloves when I go in. But yeah, I mean, there's I understand that there's that someone could steal them out of that bag, but it's just goggles and gloves. And I figured if they thought there was something interesting and they took a peek in there, they'd realize that there's nothing really worth taking. And they just leave them alone. So I haven't had any problems, and if I do, the worst that can happen is I'll have to get some more goggles and gloves. But like I said, I park usually where there's people standing around, or cameras and so forth, to try to deter people from messing with my stuff. And I also try not to take too long if I leave it locked up. I don't want to just depend on honesty to make sure that happens to my scooter or the stuff. So I'll lock it up pretty good with the U-lock in a large cable, that anybody that really was dead set on getting the scooter could still get it. But once again, I make that where you'd have to be pretty obvious that that's what you were doing, and you'd probably be doing it in front of people and cameras, because that's where I try to leave my scooter. I wouldn't leave it around back somewhere for someone to come up with some tools and take it. So you're going to be doing it in front of people, which is going to look pretty suspicious if you pull out a angle grinder. And, they're going to be like, are you good over there? So it's just a real deterrent, I think. Once again, it's not impossible, but, they can wait for the right moment. Like I said, if they were truly just really wanting to get it, they could get it. I do have an Apple AirTag that I've placed in my scooter to try to thwart something if someone did take off with it. I know if you have an iPhone, they can track it. I did remove the sound, so even if they do have an iPhone and it pops up that there's one in the area, it will not beep because it has no ability to beep. So they would be trying to find the AirTag. And I've considered doing multiple AirTags like this. So maybe doing two or three total in different spots on the Klima, so that it will buy me some time to try to find the Klima while they're trying to find AirTags that make no sound. So that's just a way for me to kind of they're pretty cheap. It doesn't cost me anything like a monthly fee or anything to keep them tracking or whatever. So it just works with my iPhone, and like I said, it gives me a little bit of an edge. It gives me a little bit of an edge. If something did happen, I could track my scooter down. First of all, I think it takes a while for them to notify you. So there is a time that I have from when the scooter goes missing to when it can be detected by the person who has it. So once that happens, hopefully I've already located the scooter because I walked out and the scooter was gone, and I got on my phone and I tracked it down and called the cops if I needed to or whatever, and got my scooter back by then. But like I said, I know there are people out there who can do that stuff. So I want to make it as difficult as I can for them. Right now, I just have the one air tag. So I my carry bag is awesome. I use it all the time for not just my goggles and gloves, but for stuff. I put stuff in there all the time, mostly drinks. My wife likes me to bring her home drinks while I'm out on my scooter, so I'll stop by the convenience store and get her iced coffee or a Sprite or something like that, and I use that bag, put it in there. So, but if not, I mean, I can use it for just about anything. It's super handy. It sits right, on the handlebars there, and that's sort of the reason I didn't go with one of those little small bags, the scooter bags. That they look cooler. They really do, but you just can't put a lot in them. Maybe a few tools or something like that. I already carry a backpack. I got used to carrying a backpack quite a bit in Colorado when I lived there. I used to walk quite a bit, so I don't. It's very natural. I carry it around like it's nothing. So I'll put my tools and stuff in there. Anything. I have some water in there as well, in a thermos style container. In case I need some water while I'm out for whatever reason, and I have a couple times. Mostly in the summertime when it's a little hotter. I haven't used that. I haven't had to stop and get water much since the weather's dropped temperature a bit. But somebody's getting pulled over there. So, yeah, like I said, in general, the scooter's been great. I'm liking it the more I ride it. And I'm hopeful that Fluid's going to be around a while because they're supposed to support my scooter for the life of the scooter or the life of the company, whichever comes first. All right, so guys, if you found this content helpful and you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. Consider joining my Patreon, picking up some merch, or buy me a coffee. Thanks, and happy riding.